Hello, hello, hello. Having to wait just a few seconds there for the stream to start. Hello and welcome. Welcome, indeed, welcome to Adventures in Eurorack with me, Gaz Williams. Very pleased for you. Very pleased that you could join me. That's the right way to say it. Yes. Okay, I've got a really interesting episode planned for tonight, so I'm quite excited about this. Yeah, great. So, what have we got in store? Well, in front of me is the trusty walled-off KB37 that we've had in front of us for a few months now. And it is set up more or less identically. I think it is actually. Yeah, it's identical to as it was last week, which is partly because the show is going to be a little bit more about CVilization, because I mentioned last week we're going to cover mode 3 on it. But also over here to my left, here's a little drum machine that I've put together. This is something I've talked about and I'm really enjoying this. This is essentially a generative drum machine. I say generative, it does a lot of stuff on its own. There's a few things that I can do. I can flick a few things in and sort of change a few things, but by and large I just kind of let it do its thing, and it provides some pretty cool drum rhythms. We looked at more or less a big part of this a couple of weeks ago in my random drums episode, but this one is actually more like it was always intended. This rack unit here, it's got the tip-top, I can't remember what it's called now, but this tip-top 19-inch rack mount, which has got the built-in power supply. And that has got like flying bus boards with 10 power points on them. This particular arrangement of modules is actually, there's 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'm really pleased about this on the left here, because I was approached by some people who run Midiverse Modular, and they're a new company, and they were curious to see if I would like to have a look at their modules that they're just starting off. And they were slightly apologetic that they weren't the most exciting modules, but they've actually proved to be super useful, because what they are, they're completely passive modules. So I've got there's a multiple there, which is 1x3. And then another 1x3, but they're all normal, so it's like 1x6. Then there's two switches, one into A and B, and two A and B, and you've got little flick switches here. So in the case of this drum machine, this changes some of the action. I'll explain a little bit more about that. And then the third one from them is attenuators, just 3 passive attenuators. So I've got the 3 LFO from Tacarb next door to it, so I can feed in LFOs and then I can attenuate. So I thought that this was really great, because I'd used up all of the available power ports on that that was built into the tip top. So with that bit of space there, filled it up quite nicely. But also I've been learning a little bit about what kind of things can passive modules do, because a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to clock a bunch of things using this, I think this is a tip-top mult or whatever it's called, sort of 1 in, 3 out. But the gate, I was sending 3 gates out, but one of the gates wouldn't open on one of the Moogs over there. So clearly, the slight drop of voltage, I think when they say gate is high, for it to trigger, if it's tiny little bit, hasn't quite got enough voltage to get over the hump there, it won't open the gate. So so that's a limitation of passive mults. In fact, that actually inspired me to get this module on the left here, which is by Mutable Instruments. I mentioned it before, it's called Lynx, and we got a 1x3 outputs, 2 1s into 2 outs, and then 1 3 in and 1 out. But they're buffered and they're compensated for audio. So if you are ganging audio signals up, it won't overdrive them. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all in the chat room. So pleased. Oh, Mac is suggesting to get a passive low-pass gate. Okay. And to carb do a cheap one, a dual one. Okay, that is definitely an interesting consideration there. I have actually in this rack, I don't know if you can see, oops, not on that one, this view. Yeah, I've got 3 HP. But what else? Let's just briefly look what's in this rack though. So we've got the 3 Midiverse modular passive units here, then the Takarb 3 LFO, grids from Mutable Instruments, which is the kind of heart and soul of this particular system. Then we've got our 2 Drum 2 modules from Erica, Pico modules, and then there's the drums, that's the sample one. And these 2 are 2 algorithmic bass drum voices. Then working happily is the little drummer boy from Deltronics. I had a little bit of problems with that one because it needs 5 volts. And then next door to that is the switch from DPW, and that's great. That's working really great because you can see that the LFOs are busy there. It's not just the LFOs. I've got accents coming from grids, similar to how I had set up on my show a few weeks ago. Next door is another A138S, which I've got another one of them. When I got this one, I thought, well, if I get it in black, it means I've got another different module. So try not to get too many repeats. These are repeats. I've got what? I've got a few repeats, not many. And then here, this is one we haven't seen. This is another one from DPW. So Dan Welbeck is a great friend of mine, and he did send me his modules. So just a disclaimer there. Most of these I've bought. DPW ones I didn't. And the Midiverse, these 3 passive ones were in fact sent to me. And so was the Takarb one. Oh, aren't I a lucky boy? Yes. But I did I bought the rest. Okay. So, you know, anyway, just clearing all that up before I get into trouble. So we've got the shape from DPW. Now I'm going to use this in a fairly basic way tonight, but you can use this in a bunch of interesting ways, like sort of to affect. You can create space. You can actually create stereo stuff with it by using. Well, essentially, you've got like a compressor, and then you can split the transient from the tail, so you can actually send those out as separate signals. In this particular case, though, we're using it really as level control. And although they're feeding a stereo mix here, I'm going to just, for tonight, run that in mono through here. And then that's coming in to the KB37 into channel 4. So I can actually put it through effects. Now, it's being clocked from the KB37. So the master clock is KB37. So the volume control that I've got here, tempo control that I've got here controls the tempo of everything. So let's have a little listen then to what's happening on our little drum machine now, just to see, just whilst we get going. Let's get my levels together. Just get my levels up. And I love the little grooves I've been getting out of this thing. So in this particular case here, if I flick the switch here, it'll allow a modulator to modulate the position of the grids. So it'll create like a variation back to the same pattern, little variation. And then the bottom switch I've got here is doing a similar thing. It's turning on an LFO, which is then, I'm just remembering what it's doing. Oh yeah, following everything. Yeah, so it's coming out. The switch is coming out. It's going into the multiple, which because I'm taking that LFO out into the switch. hang on, yeah, and then out, in this particular case, to send the LFO into the fill for what is the snare drum, which is the second channel here. So I can flick that in. Here we go. So take that back off. A little variation, put both in. It's just, it's pretty minimal amount of stuff, but it's just interesting to be able to just flick in variation. Yeah, so this is super simple, but my thinking is with this drum machine is if I want to have some rhythmical, if I want to have something rhythmical to go on, and I don't want to have to get into the the kind of the detail of programming something. And anyway, it's going. Yeah, I mentioned it was going. It's going into the shape here. So let's just turn all of these down, so we can bring in the elements. So I could just bring in a clean. So you can do like parallel compression then, because I've got a compressed version of it here. I've got a drive at the top here as well, so I can push it more into it. Let's just give it more level in. So I can get a mixture of clean and compressed. But let's take them out. And get the transient. Actually, maybe if I just... Whoa. I think let me just tweak that a little bit. Yeah, you see now this is... I always do Dan's modules a disservice on this show. But it's nice though here, because it just means we can get a lot of chunky kind of... shaper now, pushing the transients up. So it's nice and juicy. And of course, I can feed that then into bit of verb on it as well. It's nice, isn't it? It's kind of yeah. Flick my variations in. And then you see, the more I've been playing with grids, the more you really play with these three controls here. You know, if I want to, I mean, I haven't got mutes and solos, but if I wanted to mute the snare and hi-hat patterns, I just turn those down. Now remember, these aren't actually controlling levels of anything. This is just controlling the amount that the particular drum will sound. This kick drum pattern, if I turn it all the way to the right, it'll just sound continually. Let's bring in this one as well. I like it. It's sort of, I think it's funky. Just gonna bring the decay down of them a little bit. Variations. Let's back off that kick a bit now. So I'll set in a more or less 12 o'clock. So those three are all CV controllable. I'm just having only the middle one CV controlled, and then, as I say, that's beat. So oh yeah, okay. I'm just using square waves as the modulator for the switches. It makes sense, doesn't it? So it switches it on, switches it off, and setting it quite slow. Okay, so that's what we got waiting in the wings, and that's locked, as I mentioned, to the KB37. So the KB37 is the timing master for tonight's entertainment. Right. Magoo says, makes you want to drink some umbongo. Umbongo, they drink it in the Congo. What is it? A lion took an apricot, a guava, and a mango. God, you see those adverts? They burnt into your memory, you know. I think it's quite an interesting thing that we will have generations of people, you know, in a few generations' time. The idea that, like in Britain, you know, we had in the 1980s, we had at the beginning of the 80s just 3 TV channels, and then Channel 4 joined us in 1983, maybe, or 1984, 1983, I think, possibly. And then, yes, we had 4 channels. And 2 of those channels were advert-funded channels, and 2 of the channels were BBC. And the advert-funded channels just meant that you'd see the same adverts over and over again. Bold 3 advert guy, you know, does the kind of the dolly zoom on the guy. He hasn't got enough money to pay for his Bold 3. That's not enough. I'm dead. Adverts like that. That will connect with a very small amount of you out there. Anyway, yes, digression. What a digression. Let's look at Civilization tonight, because tonight's show is what is a mucorder? And indeed, what is a mucorder? Well, it's mode 3 on the Civilization. That's what it's called, mucorder. And mucorder is not a mucus, not short for mucus recorder. But mucorder is a mutation recorder. It's sort of because you can record like step sequences into this thing, and then you can choose different types of mutations. And we've got 4 channels. So essentially, we can be sending out 4 CV signals which go through pitch quantization. And the notes that they're being sent out on, yeah, we can sequence, but then we can mutate. So that's what we're going to do a little bit tonight. And because we're all synced up, once we got that going on, we can then introduce some rhythm, because we haven't had any rhythm with this stuff yet. Gearhead says, more adventures in going broke. Gotta hide my wallet. Oh, God, yeah. I know. I'm sorry. It's an expensive business. And it is very Moorish as well, you know. Anyway, let's focus on Civilization. I'm sorry, this little table is well wobbly. Look at that. That's the Civilization giving it a little shimmy. Okay. Right. Okay, so I mentioned then we got 4 channels here. I'm just going to turn off the... I'm just going to do it like this for now. Right. And the way it sort of works is each of these channels... Well, first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to just press the middle button, press and hold it, and I'm going to hit the bottom one here, and that just resets it. So actually, starting afresh. So you've got 4 sequences, 4-step sequences here of 2 to 16 steps. Now, I know Ty Unwin is going to love this next bit now. You can choose how many steps they are by turning the knob, by turning it before you record it. You can only set these lengths before you record. As soon as you record, you'd have to wipe it to set the level again, to set the length again. So, but if you turn it, it goes through a color sequence. Now, when I get to yellow at the end, then I know it's at 16 steps. But that color sequence is all based on... I got to get the money. It's all based on... You're going to love this. Right. Let's have a look now. So blue is unique. So yellow is powers of 2. So 2, 4, where's 8? 8, and then finally 16. So if you know that yellow is a power of 2, so then blue is multiples of 3, green is multiples of 5, and then pink are prime numbers. But you know, you kind of get it. I sort of know, just if I just swizzle it all the way to the end and it turns yellow, then I know I'm at 16 steps. So, but the reason why I mentioned Ty there, I was talking to Ty the other day and we were talking about civilization, and, you know, and he's sort of kind of going, well, maybe this kind of abstract sort of, the thing is you have to kind of know what it all means to be able to use it. And he really didn't like that. You know, it does require practice, and it does state so in the manual, you know, that this stuff, you need to spend time with it. However, and I'm going to say this in all sincerity, you learn it pretty quickly. The colours make sense, and there's a consistency across the different modes, and that kind of language, the colour language and the sequence of colours and stuff, you get it quite quickly. So you might be thinking, oh God, that looks awful or whatever, I would never do it. I was really surprised how fast you can navigate it. And then because of the power that's in here, and you'll see this in a moment now, it, you know, it does get quite interesting. This is a very, very small, and sorry, let me get a close up on it. This is a very small module, really, considering just how much kind of horsepower is packing. Anyway, yes, Synthetic mentioned cheat sheets, and this cheat sheet, yeah, you're definitely going to need that hanging around, certainly for the beginning of it. Anyway, let's get on with it. So I mentioned then, I've set up the first track, I've set it up to be 16 steps long. Okay, now it's waiting. If I hit record, it goes red, and then it's waiting for me to give it 16 notes. Now I've got the gate and the pitch of the KB37 feeding into the civilization, and that you have to do it that way if you want to program notes into it. So let's get up my let's turn that down a few octaves. Okay, so very basic oscillator coming from the disting. I can change the wave shape of it with the wheel on the KB37, but other than that, it's very basic sound. Okay, but it's waiting now, so if I play some notes in, and then as soon as I've done 16, it will just automatically stop. Now it's waiting, the note will hold, it's waiting until it receives I've got the clock from the KB37 feeding the civilization as the as the kind of the gate to kind of move the sequence along. Now, see, if I just play keys, a single key, I'm just advancing through that. So if I do an arpeggiator of just that note, I've got my sequence running. Okay, so now I'm going to just do this as super basic, just to kind of show you some of this mutation stuff, because it's really cool. My right encoder controls the degree of mutation. So if I move it to the right, it'll start putting bigger gaps. Now, what I haven't done, as you can hear, I haven't put any pitch quantizing in. So let's do that. long press on the left takes us into this configuration mode. Top encoder is my pitch quantizer. Coming out of channel 1. One click, chromatic. So you can hear it's chromatic now. Next click to yellow. It's a major scale, but all the scales now, apart from white onwards, you can make your own scales. I might do a bit of that later, we'll see. So green natural minor. Okay, let's have a look now at this mutation. I'm going to turn it all the way to the right. So it's increasing the amount of mutations. Turn it back all the way to the left. So just by adjusting the amount of mutation, I can just modify this melody. So as I say, I'm using about the simplest tone I could possibly make for the purpose of this. Just play a little bit with the mod wheel, and of course, as I say, waiting in the wings is all this glorious effects, which, as I often say, is cheating a little bit, but is nice. Okay, let's get some more sequences on the go. So here's my channel 2. This is the Hysteria from Dreadbox. Same thing now. I'm going to choose, I'm going to do 10 steps, so that'll be, I think that's green. But it doesn't matter how many steps, but that'll do. So I put that into record. Right, so I've got my little... So I put that through. I think, did I set that? Yeah, I did. Let me just... Yeah, I set this... Oops. Why do I... Alright. This is one of those times where I think... Hang on. I've messed up somewhere. Let me just get this back. See, that's my first sequence, so I've clearly messed up something. What did I do? Well, doesn't matter. I quite quickly go back to the beginning, long press on there, hit the last encoder. Okay. So I've dropped... Okay, I must have knocked the pitch down. So I'm going to set 16 steps, drop it into record. Right. Let's get this arpeggiator going. Let's set our pitch quantizer now. Oh, I see what it is. If you knock it into record, you will lose your sequence. You can freeze the sequence. I didn't do that. So So yeah, it can be a little bit fiddly, some of this, obviously, but you know, I'm pitch quantizing it, going into a nice natural minor. So I like to take a kind of slightly melancholic sort of line on the show here. Okay, second sequence. Oh yeah, that's right. If you press 2, the one, and it's one directly horizontal with it, will wipe your sequence. Oh, I see what I'm doing. When I'm running the arpeggiator then immediately programs the steps. So turn the arpeggiator off for when I'm just going to put more sequences in. This one I'll just do as a descending line. Turn that one off for a moment. Okay. Right. There we go. So now, so if I get this arpeggiator on again now, there's that line going down. This will be quite cool way of hearing the mutations. So I'll start mutating it a little bit. Now there are different rules, different mutation rules that you can load in. Long press on the left, switch to page 2, the bottom encoder. Let's hit that one. Now, this is coming out of channel 2. This purple one is a harmonic mutator. So let's see. So you can get it back to the where you started. Then start mutating it. Let's bring in that other one at the top. Mutate them a little bit more. Here's a cool thing though, I can transpose these sequences and I can choose which of the sequences, which ones will be transposed. So you turn one to the right. Okay, let's bring in a third one now then. Let's do that. So I'll set it to 16 steps. Turn the arpeggiator off. I'm getting it here. Here we go. Drop it into record. And now this is Platts. This one I'll do this one with less melodicism. Okay. Let's just check that. So let's just see what happens if I turn the mutation up on this one as I just play it. Now some of the other mutation rules I'll need to look in the book. You can make the mutation type. Let's just take that off now. The mutation type, we can have a little bed of the reverb instead. The mutation types, you can have it randomly decrease or increase the intervals, randomly copy the input CV. So yeah, so I can, that would be quite cool. So you could influence it by the notes that you're playing. That is cool. That's worth playing around with. Then next one's quite cool, is randomly copy from the above sequence. So I guess this will apply to 2, 3 and 4. So 2 will copy notes from sequence 1, and then 3 will copy notes from sequence 2. So I guess you would only actually need to program notes into 1, set the others the same, and then be generating melodic lines that are based on the line that you sequenced. And then the 4th one is harmonize. So those are our 4 mutation Mario Rossi, why does he want us to understand what's happening? I want to understand what's happening. So by being really boring and explaining it to you guys, it helps me understand. That's why. Okay. So without the arpeggiator running, I can do this sort of triggering thing. Let's bring the other ones in now. Happens now. Yeah, why don't we bring the beat in and see what it sounds like? Is that syncing? Sinking? It is. messing with the sequences a little bit. Accurate beats. This is a Mucorder. Mucorder away. Hey Wagyu. Thank you so much. Super chat tips are amazing, everybody. I mean, I'd hate to beg. Like we've seen in the other episodes as well. Pitch bend's nice, isn't it? I can make the civilization it's easy to press record. I wanted to just go into the mode change. It's easy to press record, so you have to long press. Now, in the second page, on the configuration one, I can set glides up. Let's turn them up. So you can hear the kind of the notes are sliding up there, or I can dial that out for that more chromatic sound. Okay, it's interesting hearing those sequences mutate. What I want to work on, I think, is ways of knocking notes out. At the moment, everything is just constant notes. I'd like to put some rests in, but let's go back to this simple one a moment. So I can turn up some. What's gone a little bit of, there we go. So, to unmucord. Oh yeah, look at this, yeah. Like, I'm just going to put in just a repeating note. Oh, turn the arpeggiator off. Go into record. So it's just single notes playing, okay? Get that going. Yeah. So this is actually just lots of notes playing single. But now, if I then start to mutate it, so this kind of small amounts. So I had 16 notes, all exactly the same. So a small amount of, like, turn it all the way back to the left, no mutations, 16 notes all bleeding together. smallest bit of mutation, and we'll hear it, or should hear it. Here we go. I have to turn it a bit. Turn the arpeggiator off. So if I play like just on the piano, on the keyboard, it's weird, isn't it? Because the melodies are sort of doing strange things as I play. But let's turn on the other ones as well. So as I play. Quite nice, isn't it? Ooh. Losing a bit of tuning. Let's just... Ooh. I'm never entirely sure where to tune it to. Really bizarre. So just playing like melody lines. We get these interesting harmonized lines. Let's bring in the third one. So you see, what I've done here on the third one has made the third one stop listening to what notes are coming off the keyboard, but it's just advancing every time it hears, but it's advancing its sequence without letting the CV affect its melody. So it's just a really curious way of setting up the keyboard to play. Bring the effects back in. One finger note, the one finger player. Right, so they're now, none of the sequences are following the keyboard. So I have to set the arpeggiator back on now to make the sequence advance. Up a bit. Let's record some new notes in. You know, what's pleasing to me is that this kind of stuff is really the joyful part of the modular adventure, because although I'm not entirely sure what this music it is I'm making or for what purpose it is, it's definitely music. And I would never come up with it using my traditional synthesizers. Yeah, all drones, no envelopes. I have got some envelopes on standby for some. I was going to get some more modulations of some of these tones on the way. But I think over these past few weeks, where I've been looking at Civilization, this overwhelming thing I get from it about it being incredibly musical. So, just replacing the sequences is quite nice here. If I go into these configuration pages, I can change the clock divisions of the 4 sequences. Actually, I'm only using 3 at the moment. So let's make the second one go slower, the third one even slower. So I'll make them all run at normal speed. Oh, I'm changing the wrong one. I should change this pink one. Thought it was not quite doing what I was hoping it was soon. Here we go. It's kind of nicer, really, with slower notes, isn't it? Yeah. Again, I'm trying to use the simplest tones, really. Let's go back to our mutation page. Come off the arpeggiator. Yeah. It's cool. Ooh. Got some tuning discrepancy. Oh yeah. Platts is a funny one. Depending which of the oscillator modes it's in, the controls can do quite different things. Okay, this is all getting a bit slushy. Okay. Hairsbro Channel is saying, such a shame the Zadar doesn't have a screensaver. Would be cool with some Starfield or something. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, again, waiting in the wings. The glorious Zadar from Chaos Devices. Such a ace module that is. So I've got that set up to apply some interesting subtle modulations. A few things droning out here. This is Adverb. One of the cool features is it's got an analog oscillator that can control the playback the fidelity, as it's called. Played with this before, but look, when you take the fidelity right down, let's make it totally wet. Let's open up the filter a bit. So these weird equalities you get down here, by reducing the clock speed of the Z-verb. And when I mean clock, the digital clocking of the processor. Oh, now you see, when you get right down this bottom here, it just starts to degrade. It's just really interesting, I think, the textures that are happening down there. So yeah. Try and get the music playing again through it, down in this creepy, strange place. It's kind of... And yes, you can modulate the fidelity. Wow. I'm just going to get the eventide feeding back going in wet, and I can control the filter. Back to the usual nightmare ambience. Yes, things were getting far too nice. So I suppose, you see, with that, let's get back into the some notes harmonizing from out of here. Should get quite sweet now. Well, sweet in a relative sense. I can hear it's mutating away. strange old place. Clock speed. Paul Talbot, sounds like too much acid at Glastonbury. That's a good thing. Yeah. Drum fill. Possible to quag. You asking about my mic? It's the LCT 640. Yes, Carrier Monkey. It's a brilliant mic. Absolutely brilliant mic. I mean, I'm quite far away from it at the moment. Yeah, it's a great mic. You can do some cool things with it. You can tap out the second diaphragm with a mini XLR out the side, so you can actually, and if you put it that way on, you can use it as a stereo mic and have a left and right coming out of it, or record both of those and use the little Lewitt plugin, and you can change the polar pattern after you've recorded it. Now that's quite radical. So what do you think, guys? It's a definite sort of progress of kind of musicality, I think. The Carrier Monkey saying, is it cardioid and a condenser? I think, well, cardioid, most condensers are cardioid. I think you might mean dynamic and condenser. No, this particular mic is it's a multi-pattern one. So yeah, you could do cardioid, hypercardioid, omni, figure eight. And thanks for go. Thanks, Cresshead. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to chronicle my little journey with Eurorack, and the thing that I am always looking for, I guess, is musicality. And yeah, I mean, Nightmare Ambience is always like a default, just making really murky, horrible sounds. But trying to find some way to make things that is identifiably music and not necessarily dance music. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. Like Mylar Melodies is wicked, and well, he's great at a lot of stuff, but he's super cool at making techno. And I've dabbled a little bit over the years of making techno, but I am quite tempted to make some techno soon. So I might start looking at putting together a little bit of a techno rig. But my motivation mostly with music is harmonically driven music, melodic harmonic music. So, this is why I'm going on so much about this Civilization. This module, I just think is it's the missing link just for bringing stuff together. I mean, I know there are other multi-channel pitch quantizers. It's just cool. So we've looked at the first 3 modes. Now the 4th mode, whether I do this next week or not, I'm not sure. I don't want to overdo Civilization. This is the 3rd week using it, but the 4th mode is a quadraphonic panner mode, or quadratic panner as it calls it. Now that you could use it for sending 4 different speaker output sources, or what I'm thinking of doing is sending it to 4 different effect processors, so you could sequence, because you can set it to sort of like essentially auto pan and have your 4 audio signals coming in being routed out as audio signals. So I've not tried it yet. That's the 4th mode, and in fact I've tried to be quite good and just sort of work 1 mode a week sort of thing. Initially this Mucorder I was a little bit confused about. I'm still a little bit confused about it, but kind of making progress. It is quite easy to record, because you have to do long presses and short presses. There are those kind of interfaces require quite a bit of practice just to kind of get the muscle memory and the just the workflow kind of into your brain. But I think it's a good workflow. I do like it, and it's easier to learn than my babblings probably suggest. I have to say this. Please don't ever let my ineptitude with modules put you off any modules. It is me, some things I grab and can get straight away. Some things are still kind of scratching my head. And I was thinking about this again, like modular, a lot of modules have kind of got very impressive purposes that they can do, and they can do this and this and this, but I really struggle sometimes to make the connection to what that would actually mean musically. I think, there are absolutely incredible musical potential in these modules, but it takes me a while to kind of get my head around some of them. This is something I've said for years, really. One of the things that put me off Eurorack and modular synths in general was when I play with a lot of my synths, I quite like quite pure and simple tones and just using lots of pitch bend and modulation wheel, but the tones themselves being quite rich and not overly modulated. I'm thinking about sort of like classic mini Moog kind of synths and lines and that kind of thing that I've always loved. But what I want to try and develop then is, using things like Civilization to help guide the kind of musicality. Using Civilization for helping, pull all things together, but really start focusing on making more interesting evolving tones. So Platts, for instance, which is a very, very popular module from Mutable Instruments. Can we see it on this view? Yeah, it's just not quite. Let's go here. It does have an awful lot of modulation capability, and I like to sort of play with the sounds in real time, but to try and kind of set up lots of movement and lots of evolving tones whilst having them doing lots of interesting harmonic things. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be sort of trying to develop. Synthetic say, don't worry, we can't all be Mylar Melodies or Richard Devine. Yep. Yeah, we can't. That's true. These guys do make things look way, way too easy. Yeah. So that's where I want to try and develop. And, I think my lack of patience sometimes, I always just want to get to the riffs. I want to get to the riffs. I want to get to the music. Maybe being a bit more patient with the tones a little bit, and really try and spend more time with getting lots of tonal stuff going on. But what I have noticed though with this KB37, it just doesn't feel big enough in terms of how many modules you can kind of get into it. So it does kind of beg the question about rack size. I know that there was a lot of eyebrows raised when I put the Eventide in here, because that does take up quite a bit of space. Again, this idea, what I'm trying to do with this KB37 is use it as the kind of hub for those 3 Moog semi-modulars, which are so inspiring and so brilliant. I've not really used those in any of the shows in recent times. I was using the subharmonicon quite a lot in my early shows. I stopped using it for a while for my shows just because it just does so much beautiful, amazing things. I felt I needed to kind of strip things back a little bit. But when you've got those 3 plugged into here, and then using like things like the Eventide and the Z-Verb and other action, it's really stunning. I've been having some of the best musical joy of my life with that setup. No, I should rephrase that, because the best musical joy I have is playing with other musicians. But I should say musical joy playing on my own. That's a very crucial difference with that particular setup. So I really should show you what I've been up to at some point, because I'm building up to I think what my electronic music output, because I don't really release electronic music. I've released various other musics, mostly band or that, in terms of stuff with my name attached to it, but the big thing for me now is I'm actually, with the return to normality after this horrible, horrible pandemic, I'm thinking about gigging. So that's, I'm thinking about taking this lot out and doing live performances. So my progress now then, so I'm going to try and work really on getting really beautiful tones that evolve, and that I can really feel like I can control that change. But also, if I'm thinking of gigging, you're thinking about like maybe a 40-minute performance or something, there needs to be quite a lot of texture changes and quite a lot of music changes throughout that time span to make it interesting. See, if I'm playing with like Rocket Goldstar, for instance, my band for many years, or the other bands that I play in, a 40-minute set has involved lots of songs, loads of flavors, loads of things going on. So one of the lessons I think I need to learn is, because I love prog rock. My bands have always been busy, lots of riffs and crazy arrangements. I love that. That is what I do. That is my musical expression, is psychedelic pop with lots of bits and lots of riffs and lots of changes and whatnot. I've got something coming out soon, which I've been working on. I can't wait to share with everybody, but you're going to have to wait and see. That's something's nearly ready. But my natural inclination is to make busy pieces of music with lots of kind of mayhem and zaniness. That is my, you know, as much as I maybe don't want that to be the case, that is my muse, you know. So I'm trying to find a new kind of composing personality, I suppose, through this modular thing. That's and I think that one of the lessons I need to learn about is not changing things that much and just letting things sit for quite a, you know, decent amount of time, and making small and subtle changes, and then making smooth and seamless transitions into new areas, key changes and textural and timbral changes that happen in a nice fluid way, and not, you know, not jerk and not pull you out of the moment with some kind of clumsiness. Yeah, so I thought I'd just share that with you, because that's sort of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about performances. I'm thinking about what kind of performances do I want to do, and I'm imagining maybe about creating almost like islands of different moods, and then navigating between these islands, you know, and still keeping it open so it's improvised music, but that I'm going to try and take it to specific places, and I've got particular ideas of when you reach those islands, and then make the journeys in between, this kind of seamless transition. Wagyu is suggesting I can have multiple little rigs and fade between them when one of them is sounding most apt for the moment. Brilliant. Yeah, that really is. But I mean, I was just thinking, oh man, about having to take out a load of stuff. But I did, when I bought my rack brutes that are holding all the other modules on the other end of the studio, I've got the carry cases for them. I don't have a carry case for this, actually. So yeah, so it might be the two rack brutes and this thing. The funny thing is, though, this is a deep rack unit, but this stuff is only this deep. So actually, plenty of space in there for me sandwiches. Ian Tyndale saying, I'm never going to do any more live performances. I mean, I never actually did, but you're putting foot down, no more. The Horsefals is suggesting about going part generative, always fun. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's what I'm liking about this drum setup. In fact, let's just do a little bit more with that, because I've got a few things I wanted to do with this. So let's have a little look. So speaking about that in a generative sense, then. So let's see what they're doing at the moment. I should just sort of break down this patch a little bit. So, right, I'll take all of the drum sounds out. Okay, so we're just listening now to this one. It sounds amazing, this thing does. So my kick pattern is coming out, the trigger is coming out, and it's coming in to my multiple. I'm sending that out into drum 2, but I'm also sending it out into the little drummer boy from Delptronics. So if I turn that up now, well, you'll hear that that's being triggered off a few things, but it's getting... Let's pull the decay down on that first drum. With this Erica drum thing, there's so many sounds in tiny amounts of movement. So let's just follow what's going on here. Let's just turn that one out for a minute. Okay. So my kick, let me just follow this through. Yeah. Let's just pop these ones out for a minute. Yeah. So we can hear that that is essentially the same. See. Oh. It's not catching all of them. Oh, they should be the same, I thought. Oh well. It's quite nice to sort of have them to sort of layer together. This sort of little drummer boy, it's just got 8 inputs and a single output and no controls on it whatsoever. But the reason I got it, I thought it'd be great for this particular purpose, for just sort of reinforcing. Let's pop these other ones back in now. Okay, so let's have a look on channel 2, which is coming from our second one of these drum 2 modules. That's being fed from the snare. Actually, there's some nice snare models on here. Let's snare algorithms. Let's find a different one. So the accents coming out of grids, then I've got the accents coming out, and well, one accent, the accent of the snare, is also going in to the wood block of the Delptronic. Let's just take the kick out of that for a moment. And the tom. Let's put that up. Put them back in. So the switch from DPW, yeah, is doing this thing where it's receiving accents. So the hi-hat pattern, the accent is coming out, and then oh, that's going, hang on, yeah, that's right, so that's coming out, and it's, so those accents are going to one of 2 locations. One is going to this drum module, drums, and then the other one is going into the little drummer boy. So it just gives a nice little kind of little variation, really. As I say, it's getting quite a lot of getting mashed quite a bit by the shape from DPW as well. Let's try a different model on here. That's quite nice. Whoops. Yuck. Did I say that was nice? Put a fill in. Okay, so let's get something else going on. Right. So I'm going to send out another LFO, and I'll get these tones changing now. Let's see what happens. Okay, this is coming, so this attenuator out of channel 3 is receiving, so I'm sending a triangle wave from the 3 LFO into the attenuator, which is then coming in to CV1 of our first drum. Let's just get just that soloed for a moment. Let's Let's see what it does in CV2. Let's make it. CV1. I'll put it into a square wave and make it slower so we get two distinct different tones then. Speed up a bit. There we go. So it's giving us almost like two drum sounds now, doesn't it? That's kind of cool. Let's put some delay on it now. Right, let's make the delay do something funky. So I'm going to send an output from Zadar into the delay. Let's put it into the delay multiply. Let's see what this does. Yeah, it's messing around with the delay time. Let's make that more overt. Let's turn it up. It's quite cool. Just going to change the division, make a bigger division. Let's try and get something to stick a bit. Yeah. Need to play around with that a little bit more to make that a bit more interesting. Let's bring our dry drums back in though with it. It's kind of doing some interesting things. Yeah. The horse valve says this could be one of those islands, one set of rhythms with bass. You can play freely on top of it, then shift to the next idea of several minutes. Great gig material. Okay, that's cool. See if I can bring this into something now. Drum fills. What on earth? See what we can do. So I like seeing if I can change the scales. Morph into another key. Let's radically change the... Whoa! Let's find a new key. Whoa. Not my best piece. Like this drum machine just being able just to do cool things. It's going to mess up the location of the map of the drum machine. Okay, so I'm going to probably come to an end now, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Going to be back on Wednesday, Gaz Williams Show, 8 p.m. Thanks, Horse Vowels. You guys make me very happy. Thank you so much. chat room is great, Harry Turner. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go into total mush now. Okay, hope you've all enjoyed that. Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it. Thanks again once more for joining me. And if you're watching this show after the fact, thank you for doing that too. But please consider joining the live streams Monday night, 10:30 p.m. GMT BST, and a great chat room. There we go. And we'll go out with a little whisper. Thank you, everybody. You are most kind. Most kind. Most kind. Most kind. You are most kind. Everybody is kind. I think I would like to go to sleep. Go to sleep. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Thank you.